Yeah, it's episode 16 of the Off the Ball League of Ireland podcast. It's Jamie Moore here. Just heard there from a man who scored an unbelievable goal for Cork City at Richmond Park on Friday, Mr. Kieran Sadler. Scored some great goals this season. Delighted to welcome now into studio former League of Ireland manager at a number of clubs and one of our regular pundits here on Off the Ball. Mick Cooke, how are you?
I'm very well, Jamie, thank you.
Now, Mick Cooke, that goal by Kieran Sadler, a thing of brilliance. Have you, or can you ever remember in your career a goal like that where a League of Ireland player, apart from a goalkeeper, scores from his own box? Because it was quite incredible. I wasn't at the match and I was told he'd scored from 80 yards and I was like, he didn't, but he actually did.
Well, it reminded me of Beckham's goal probably against Wimbledon in his own half. Like, it's incredible awareness. And I don't think people get the credit they deserve for goals like that. But incredible to do from that distance. I've never seen a goal from that distance before in my life.
Do you think he actually meant it, or was it just a clearance? You're 2-1 up, it's the last minute, just get it up the pitch?
I'd say he meant it. Maybe he didn't, but if I was him, I'd say I meant it.
Of course you would as well. Now, Mick, we're here to talk in general about the Premier League and the First Division as well. There's just been some breaking news which came into us in the last couple of minutes, and it's that a man has been arrested in connection with the attack on the Waterford manager, Alan Reynolds. Just a really shocking story really for the League of Ireland. The story says that a man has been arrested in connection with an assault in County Waterford this weekend. Waterford Football Club manager Alan Reynolds was assaulted on Tremore's Main Street at around 1 a.m. on Sunday morning. He suffered facial injuries and, as understood, he underwent surgery this morning on a leg injury at University Hospital Waterford. Gardaí in Tremore arrested a man this morning and he's being questioned at Tremore Garda Station. We can't talk too much about the investigation, Mick, but we just need to send our wishes to Alan Reynolds. It's shocking to think that anybody, and it's become more common in Ireland, particularly a League of Ireland manager, the first time I can remember a manager being attacked and put in hospital. Well,
certainly Alan's a lovely lad, and obviously wish him a speedy recovery. It's terrible thing to happen to any individual, to be attacked there at night thinking you've been out enjoying yourself for the evening, then an unprovoked attack. They're happening more and more in the country, which is a shame. But certainly I was only talking to him there a couple of weeks ago in Richmond Park, where I went to see Pats playing Shamrock Rovers. I was in Dundalk for the Waterford-Dundalk game, which I think Waterford probably gave the best 45 minutes display I've seen of any team this season, particularly in the second half against Dundalk, a game I felt they certainly deserved a draw. But more importantly, a speedy recovery to Alan. Yes,
and we understand the person who's been arrested is someone who has been involved previously with sport in Waterford as well. Hasn't been named, of course, which we won't be doing on this podcast either. But our best wishes to Alan Reynolds and Waterford. And we understand that one of the coaching team called Paul Cashin will take charge for the next couple of games at least. They face Cork City on Friday, and we understand Alan may have a broken leg as well, so it may take him some time to get back into the dugout. Mick, the League of Ireland race at the top, let's start with that. Cork and Dundalk have been the two involved at the top for the last number of years. Have you seen anything so far to suggest that it'll be different this year? We currently have Dundalk top on 46 points, Cork second on 44, have a game in hand, and the next team, Waterford, are 10 behind. What's your thoughts on the race for the top this year?
No, certainly, unfortunately, it's a two-horse race again, and certainly both managers have recruited very, very well, which obviously signifies where they are in the league. Waterford have certainly come on the scene. Great credit to Alan in the job he has done, and certainly I would forecast them to grab one of the European spots. But certainly, of all the other teams, I can see nobody touching them. As you said, Dundalk now 10 points clear of Waterford, Cork 8 points clear, and we're halfway through the season. Like I can't really see Cork or Dundalk losing too many games between now and the season. And already it's catch up for Waterford, Derry. Pats are out of it. I certainly think it's Waterford and Derry will be looking, and Pats for that Europa Cup spot.
Dundalk and Cork, they both won 14 games each, an identical record from a defensive point of view. They've both been quite strong. Dundalk have scored more goals, which is probably no surprise given the players in the Dundalk team. If things continue to go the way they're going, it looks like it'll be, going right to the wire. Who do you think should be the team come the end of the season that will be the champions, given what you've seen so far?
I think Dundalk. I've watched them a few times, and certainly the style of play that Stephen has them playing. Like, it's taken Stephen a while, say from last year when he had a terrible long season in Europe and all that, the recruitment that he's had to do, make everybody gel together again. And certainly the only time I've seen them troubled this year was last Monday night week when they were at home to Waterford. And Waterford certainly played them off the park. It's the only night I've seen them in trouble. And certainly I would predict now that I think Cork will just about pip Cork.
Yes, of course. So Mick Cooke taping Dundalk to win the League of Ireland for this season. They've got some really exciting players in their team. They're scoring some fantastic goals and they're playing some really good football, which they have done over the years. That's a little bit of a difference to Cork, who I've seen a few times, Mick. They're quite direct. They like to play route one, and we spoke to Kieran Sadler earlier. They have some other, fantastic footballers in their team. Why do you feel that they do go quite direct and don't play a passing brand like maybe they should with the players that they have?
Well, it's obviously the manager and the coaching staff feel that they're more productive going route one. Obviously up to Shepherd up top. And
big Graham Cummins.
Big Graham Cummins,
yeah.
And certainly, probably John feels that's the best way to get goals. Like, you can't complain, they're second in the league by playing that way. But I think when the push comes to shove, I think Dundalk are playing better football than Cork are. And I think their retention of the ball is slightly better than Cork's. I think that's what will help Dundalk to win the league.
Yeah, certainly be interested as well in Europe with Cork, of course, in the Champions League qualifiers. If that style of play will suit them. We saw the other night Jimmy Keohane scored a fantastic goal. You've got Conor McCormack, Kieran Sadler, Graham Cummins, Carl Shepherd, just to name a couple. Shane Griffin at left back's another really good footballer. So, some of the games I've seen, it's been quite disappointing with their style. As you said, it's winning them games and they are just 2 points behind Dundalk. If they win their game in hand, they'll be top. But surely a team towards the top of the table should be looking to play more passing football, I certainly think. But you can make the same point for Waterford. They're playing with a 4-4-2 diamond. They're playing with, Izzy Akinade up front alongside Courtney Doofus. They've been getting fantastic results by playing that way as well. So I suppose from the fans' point of view, do they really care once you're picking up points? Do they want the team to be playing?
I don't think you do. I'd say when you go for your point after the game of a Friday night, all you're talking about is results. And we all know you can play the beautiful game and still get beaten and the fans aren't happy. Like we say, Pats are playing lovely football, Shamrock Rovers are playing lovely football, but you see where they are in the league. It's not happening. Maybe Pats, Liam's that are putting a new team together. Maybe at Rovers they need more time to get a settled side. But they're playing very, very attractive football. I saw them beat Pats very comprehensively the other night, 3-0. And it was a really, really quality performance on the night. But they're so inconsistent, it's not funny. Like, you wouldn't certainly put money on them to win the next game. As we saw, they only came out of Dalymount with a draw. And the inconsistency is killing Shamrock Rovers as well. I think they play too much nice football. I think there's times that you have to get the ball forward quickly. Obviously, maybe Cork overdo it a bit. But it's getting that measure correct. And I certainly think Dundalk, at the moment, have it. I think Waterford have it at the moment. They play some lovely football. But when need be, they hit Doofus and Akinade.
Yeah, let's focus next on Shamrock Rovers, Mick, who you mentioned there. I was in Dalymount Park on Friday to watch them draw 1-1, but Bohemians saw them beat St Pat's 3-0 the previous weekend as well. 2 wins now in 12 matches, including the EA Sports Cup. Their 2 wins were a 3-0 against Cork, where they were fantastic, and a 3-0 against St Pat's, where they were fantastic. Can you put your finger on why they haven't won more games? And if we look at the league table now, they're on 27 points, 19 points off the top already. Now, that win against St Pat's had moved them back towards the top 4, but they're only 3 behind Derry and Pats, and I think it's 9 behind Waterford, but it's not a good run.
No, certainly it's not a good run, and I think there's a lot more expected from Shamrock Rovers this year. They've some young players, they've some experienced players, but the blend just doesn't seem to be right. And I think the big problem they have got in a few of the games I've seen, like, once they take the lead, they don't seem to want to go and kill the opposition off. They seem quite happy then just to knock the ball around. And I think the overpass at the back, even on Tuesday night when they bet St Patrick's Athletic, the amount of passing at the back and open space in front of them where I think they should exploit it a bit more. But there again, the lads are playing to the manager's instructions. All managers give instructions. The players play the way they're told. We don't know what way Stephen wants them playing. And obviously, he wants the passing game all the time from the back. But at times, I think it's far too slow. I think it creates problems for them because teams close them down then and nick the ball off them high up the park. Where at times, I think they should get it forward up to Carr and let the midfield support Carr.
Yeah, certainly been hugely impressed by Dan Carr this season. He's been in really good form for Shamrock Rovers, and a big game for them this weekend at home to Dundalk at 8 o'clock in Tallaght Stadium. At the moment, Mick, Waterford in third. They're 6 ahead of Derry, who have a game in hand, so they're currently in the driving spot for the last automatic European place. Now, in the last number of years, the team that finished fourth has got Europe due to one of the top 3 winning the FAI Cup. We've got Derry, we've got St Pat's, we've got Shamrock Rovers, all chasing third and fourth. If the race for the top is fascinating, which it is, the race for third and fourth is just as interesting, isn't it?
Well, certainly will be. And this weekend is big for the top 4. Like, I feel Waterford have to do something in Cork. Likewise, I feel Shamrock Rovers have to do something against Dundalk. If Dundalk and Cork pick up the 3 points this weekend, it's definitely all over. It will be definitely a 2-horse race for the last 16 or 17 games of the season, which is disappointing for the supporters. So I feel Waterford and Shamrock Rovers have to do the league a favour, as well as doing themselves a favour in getting full points this weekend. But as you said, Jamie, the teams there, Waterford, Derry, Pats, Shamrock Rovers, they have a lot of ground to make up on Waterford. Like Waterford, 26 points. They're 6 points clear of Derry and Pats and 9 points clear of Shamrock Rovers. So they still need Waterford to crumble a small bit. I don't think Waterford will crumble. I think come the transfer window, I think their owner, Lee Power, like with all his contacts in England, they will bring in players on loan if they have to. If they get a taste of or a smell of European football, I think Lee Power will give them the financial backing to make sure they do get the Europa Cup.
Yeah, well, certainly they have that backing at the moment, and as you said, it'll be interesting in the summertime to see what they do in terms of loans as well. The other three, St Pat's, Shamrock Rovers and Derry, have been little inconsistent this year. We've spoken about Rovers there and their 2 wins in the 12 games. Pats had won 4 in a row, they've now lost 2 in a row, and we look at Derry, who have been outstanding in the Brandywell, maybe not so good on the road, picked up some great wins, but recently they go to Waterford, they're heavily beaten as well. That inconsistency is something that all of those managers will want to try and nail down, because if it continues, the chances of getting 3rd or 4th will start to slim down.
Well, it will do. Amazingly, it was a great win for Waterford at the weekend, to beat Derry City 4-0. But I was shocked at that result, to be honest with you. I thought Derry would have done better. But as you say, Derry on the road, whether it's coming out of the Brandywell or whether they're playing on the Astro turf now, maybe the players are happier playing on the Astro. But then what will happen then, teams will get used to going to the Brandywell, they will make it more difficult for Derry up in the Brandywell. And life will become tough for them. But as you say, the inconsistency of Derry, Pats and Shamrock Rovers is amazing. Some of the great results they have, and then a week later, Pats, as you say, were on a good run, 4 wins. Now they've 2 defeats. Derry's something similar. Waterford now have come out off the back of a couple of defeats. They're back winning again. That must be a terrible worry for the managers. And obviously with them and their coaching staff, there's a break coming up shortly, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot of homework done.
Yeah, and if we move from the top 6 now to the bottom 4, Mick, we're speaking to Mick Cooke here on the Off the Ball League of Ireland podcast. It's episode 16 here with Jamie Moore, Mick, former Drogheda manager, Monaghan manager, among other teams as well. And of course, Bray Wanderers, the team who we're going to speak about now. Bray, bottom of the table, 20 games played, 8 points. We look above them, Limerick and Sligo, who drew with each other 0-0 at the weekend. Not a great result for either team, both on 17. They're competing for 90, you would think, and then Bohs are only 3 ahead of that. Let's speak about Bray first. Since Martin Russell has come in to help out with the caretaker manager Graham Kelly, they picked up 2 wins. But they've lost 16 matches, Mick, and it looks like it's only going to be one thing for them. What's your thoughts on their hopes of survival? Because we're half the season now, they're going to start to run out of games quickly, and they've got a gap of 9 points to make up just to catch the team above them. Well,
as you know, a gap of 9 points means they have to win 3, and Limerick or Sligo have to lose 3 over a period of 16 games. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're in a precarious position. I really can't see them, coming out of that position, which is a pity. Bray for years were up and down, and they had a bit of consistency over the last few years. I think it would be very hard for them if they go down this time. What's happening at the club at the moment, it would be a shame to see them go down after the hard work that has gone in. But I just think now it's a bridge too far for them.
Yeah, and we do have to as well send our wishes to Andrew McGovern, the young Bray player who suffered a horrific leg break in the game in Dundalk on Friday. A late clash with his own player Sean Heaney, and some photos of him being taken off in an ambulance, and the medical teams at both Bray and Dundalk gave him the best care possible, and Bray released an update this week that said he's recovering in hospital after undergoing surgery on that leg injury, and he was visited over the weekend by the club captain, who's defender Conor Kenna, and caretaker manager Graham Kelly. The club will continue to support Andrew throughout his recovery as well. A really shocking incident, and I dropped Sean Heaney a text last night to say if he was okay. He was saying he's only come to terms with it now. You see the Dundalk players as well. Injuries like that in a football pitch are horrible to see, and to have an ambulance physically on the pitch to treat a young player, Mick, is really sad, and we hope he'll be okay.
Well, please God he will be. I'm sure the treatment that he's getting in hospital will help him to recover quickly. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery. It's a mental thing when you break your leg down. I mean, the injury can become perfect, but it's what happened to you at that moment and how you get over it. And so many players don't come back. But I think now with modern technology and science in medicine, please God, he will recover and he'll back again playing next year.
What have you made of what's going on at Bray this season? They had Dave Mackey as the manager, and Dave resigned, having not won a match in pre-season or in the season. Rumours that Martin Russell was going to be appointed. He's with the team, he's on the bench at every match, we understand, in an advisory role. He's not been named manager yet, not too sure why. Graham Kelly, the caretaker. But they're not scoring goals. They've not scored in their last 3 matches. 4-0 against Cork, 2-0 against Derry, 5-0 against Dundalk. They also lost to Bohs. They lost to Limerick, they lost to Sligo, the teams around them. They picked up a win against Shamrock Rovers and Derry. But it's inconsistent form and it's not good.
Well, confidence is a very thin line. And obviously, as you say, like they've only 8 points out of a possible 60, which, you know, you go training, it must be very, very hard for the coaching staff. And for whatever role Martin is playing with Graham, I don't know. I imagine it would be better if that was clarified and then the players would see a way forward if Martin was appointed manager. And certainly, I think that would give them a better hope if Martin was appointed full-time. Martin is an excellent coach. He's done a fantastic job at Limerick. And certainly, I think if they could sort out what his position really is he an advisor, is he a coach, what is he? But I think if they made that move permanent and brought Martin in, it would give them a glimmer of hope. And then the players would know where they're going, that Martin is there. Like, they don't know whether Martin's going to be there next week or the week after. So you're wondering what's going on with the club. Are they going to give him the job? Are they not going to give him the job? And I think the players would prefer Martin to be in charge with his experience. And it would give them a glimmer of hope if Martin was appointed.
Yeah, there has to be an issue behind the scenes that we don't know about clearly in terms of why Martin maybe hasn't been named manager yet. But if he did become the manager, as you said, it might give him a lift. We spoke with Limerick and Sligo. Mick, the final team in the Premier League are Bohemians. Some of the best young players in the country, you know, particularly Dylan Watts playing in midfield has been, you know, really, really good. They've obviously got Shane Supple in the Ireland squad. You know, lots of other excellent players in the group. But they've only won, you know, 5 of their games, 2 of which were against Shamrock Rovers. They're only 3 ahead of 9th at the moment. You wouldn't think that they're going to be involved at the end in that race to avoid 9th, but at the moment they are, and they've got some really, really good players. So what's your thoughts on them and how they can get more wins? Because at times their play has deserved it maybe, but they haven't been able to pick up as many points they would have liked.
Well, I must say, the couple of times I've seen Bohemians playing this year have been a joy, and I don't think they will be involved in that last spot. In fairness to Keith, he's doing a fantastic job with such a young team. And to think that of the 5 wins they have, 2 of them have been against Shamrock Rovers, which is incredible. But I think, like, the players will have learned in the first phase of games. Like, they've played 19 games, they've won 5, drawn 5. I think the young players will have learned from them first 19 games and will benefit them going into the last phase of games. I certainly don't see Bohemians. As I said, I've watched them, they're a joy to watch. They just have to obviously wise up when you do take the lead against teams and know how to win games, know how to clean a game out. We don't need to win 2-0 with 5 minutes to go. 1-0 will do us. But I think they're a joy to watch. Certainly Sligo, Limerick, Tommy Barrett coming in there at Limerick, no experience. I don't think Ger Little has got the grasp of the League of Ireland at Sligo as of yet. Like, he's swapping around his players. He's brought in a lot of players. Big difference between the League of Ireland and the Irish League. I think the League of Ireland is far more competitive, far more structured, far more organised. The league up north, the few games I've seen in the last couple of seasons, are very open. Like, you see games there, 4-all, 5-all, 5-3. The games up there seem very open in compared to the games down here. And I don't think Ger Little has really grasped that as yet. But he have a good side. But I certainly think it's between them and Limerick for the playoff spot.
Make our final point on the League of Ireland Premier Division is the debut of Ireland for Graham Burke during the week. I think we can see an image of him now making his debut in the Stade de France. He came on, I think, for around 21 minutes in the match. He managed to get a couple of touches. There he is there in action. The first League of Ireland player to play in the Irish team under a real match as such, to be able to get a cap since Joe Gamble in 2007. We've been calling for him to be in the squad for a while. He's in it finally. Your thoughts on his official debut on Monday night?
Very good. To come on in front of 80,000 must have been incredible for the young boy to come on and to be in the squad firstly. But it's hard to think it's 11 years since a League of Ireland player has been chosen to play for the Irish national team. All down through the last 11 years, people have been crying out for players like young Maguire at Preston, scoring week after week after week here, and he has to move to Preston before we give him a game. You know, I don't understand, like, Shamrock Rovers are full-time, Cork City are full-time. Most of the teams in the League of Ireland now are full-time. But I don't understand why a young player has to go to England before a manager decides to put him in the international squad. Like, what's the difference between Cork City or Dundalk or Shamrock Rovers and Bristol City? Like, O'Dowd is there, there's nothing made about him. Oh yeah, he plays for Bristol City. Oh yeah, he's entitled to play for Ireland. Graham Burke's entitled to play for Ireland. He's playing for Shamrock Rovers, one of the best teams in the country. But I don't understand this and the way Martin started to put it this morning, and a debut from the League of Ireland, as if, well, we should be thankful for what he did. I think he should be paying more attention to the players in the League of Ireland, because a lot of them, as we see the international squad for the last few years has been made up of lots of players who were with League of Ireland clubs. But why do we have to wait till they go to England when the clubs are full-time here?
Yeah, of course. And the other person we need to mention as well is Shane Supple, who was on the bench in the Stade de France, didn't manage to get on, played very well in the last couple of games, that Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane have seen. Of course, played at Ipswich under Roy Keane. He's 31 now, Mick. What's your thoughts and views on him? I'm sure if he was given the chance to play for Ireland, he'd love it. But if he stays in the league here, he won't be able to get that. And he did come home from England because he said he fell out of love for the game. But in my opinion, definitely the best keeper we have on the shores here.
Well, he is. Africa, we've had great goalkeepers here, down through Mark McNulty, obviously Rogers, Doherty up in Derry. Shane has come in, done very, very well. Unfortunately, he fell out of love with the game in England. At 31 years of age, shown the form he has shown, being selected for an international squad. I think if I was a manager in England, I wouldn't be afraid to bring him back to England. At 31 years of age, you could get 3 or 4 good years out of him. And certainly if I was a manager in England, I would be aware of what Shane Supple is doing.
Mick Cooke, thanks very much.
My pleasure as always, Jamie.